Hello everyone, I'm Doreen Finkel, CEO of CampusTeaParties.com. I'd like to thank you for watching our program today, and for more information, please log on to CampusTeaParties.com. That's CampusTeaParties.com. Thank you.
Just a note on the investments. When it comes to investing, Obama doesn't pick winners and losers, he just picks the losers. Look at his track record in investing. This green energy stuff, Solyndra, all these other companies, going out of business and taking our money with it.
I think the auto bailout picked winners. I don't really see how helping create or save 1.2 million jobs in the American Rust Belt is picking losers. Okay.
Jeep moved to China and Chrysler went to Italy.
Moving on to another domestic policy issue, and one that probably carries a lot of weight on this campus within the LGBT community. What are the differences between both of the candidates on rights for the LGBT community? 2 minutes for
I think it's obvious. A president, the first sitting president to finally endorse same-sex marriage, a president who signed into law the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, a president who refuses to defend DOMA in courts, versus Mitt Romney, who either is incredibly silent about the issues or is arguing with Ted Kennedy about who's more pro-gay marriage. Or the differences are quite obvious. Mitt Romney takes the same old Republican approach, and honestly, I find that really disappointing. And that's, being a member of the LGBT community myself. This is one reason why I do not want Mitt Romney in the White House. Yeah, go ahead.
And I think that one thing that you can find on Mitt Romney's website is whether or not he's had this stance in the past, and both our candidates have changed some of their stances, but Mitt Romney now is an advocate for the traditional family. And I think when you're saying that two parents shouldn't be allowed to raise a child based on their sexual orientation, or even in some ways insinuating that single-parent households aren't going to produce as successful children as Mitt Romney kind of, sort of did in one of the debates, I'm not going to accuse him directly of that. I think that you can see a lot about a candidate's character based on those beliefs. So I don't think that any of us want to be living in a country where we're telling parents that they won't be successful in raising their children based on their sexual orientation.
Give it to them.
a minute to respond.
So, as far as, once again, that was completely wrong. Where Mitt Romney's personal stance on gay marriage is that he supports the traditional family unit as part of his religion. What he would like to see is that again, whatever states want to do, for them to deem, what they want to be as marriage. You've already seen it with Virginia. You've seen it with North Carolina. New Jersey, it's going to come up in the election for New Jersey by a referendum. New York has obviously seen the other way, but Mitt Romney has said that should the states not decide at all and this become a federal issue that comes before his desk, he would take the power to decide, but he's not going to take the power to decide because states are deciding for themselves.
I also think it's also very, very important to note that when Barack Obama had a Democrat-controlled Congress and Senate, he did nothing about this issue. He did nothing about the marriage equality issue. This is nothing but pandering in an election year. 6 months out before he needs to be reelected, he suddenly changed his position. And as a member of the LGBTQ community, I stand on the stage representing Mitt Romney because it pisses me off that somebody would do that and try and pander to my vote. Like I'm some ignorant voter that would do it just because it's gay marriage.
Hold on one second. I remind the people debating on the stage that the views that you're expressing are that of the candidates. Please refrain from.
But I don't understand pandering.
I really don't think it's pandering when Barack Obama was advocating same-sex marriage when he was in the Illinois State Senate. Agreed, he changed his mind because that was almost 20 years, that was 15 years ago. It wasn't a very popular idea back then. I think it's also very important to note that, agreed, I don't think that the federal legislature, that Congress should be doing anything about same-sex marriage. Honestly, this is an issue for the Supreme Court to decide. And they've already decided that marriage is in fact a right. And denying that right to gay and lesbian couples is a violation of their constitutional rights. Period.
Would you guys like 30 minutes?
Of course. He's right that he did. Barack Obama did talk about it in the 2008 election. When he was running for Senate, and that's because he was running against a man named Alan Keyes. Alan Keyes is the most bigoted man in the United States, politically. And Alan Keyes made it a campaign issue in order to get the Democrat vote in Illinois. He gave that position. Then when he was running for president, he changed it again. And now when he's running for re-election, he changed it again. So do you really want a president who does not offer real hope and change, who's not going to bring you forward? I'd rather be forewarned than move forward with that kind of policy. Thank you.
I believe I said state Senate, not Senate.
He changed it. Oh, sorry. He changed it with state Senate and Senate.
He was originally in favor of it, like 15 years ago.
Then why did he change his position?
Because it wasn't a popular issue at the time.
Let's leave it there, please.
So human rights are only a popular.
Excuse me. Mike, please. Moving on to another, contentious domestic policy issue, and this is an issue that is important to a very key demographic in this election, and that's the women vote. So, what are the candidates' individual views on Planned Parenthood and women's health issues at large? And this one, I believe, is for you guys. 2 minutes.
Well, in regards to Planned Parenthood, we want to let it be used to fund abortion, which is contrary to the Democratic Party platform. They do not care about the right of conscience at all. When it comes to the issue of abortion, Mitt Romney opposes abortion except in cases of rape and incest, and will not use that though as a litmus test for his Supreme Court justices.
We all live in this area. We all listen to the radio, and Obama has said that Romney has declared the war on women because he wants to get rid of your right to contraception. But here are the facts, people. Griswold v. Connecticut, 1965, almost half a century ago, the Supreme Court said that women have a constitutional right to contraception. That is not an issue. The issue is whether or not who pays for it. Obamacare forces religious institutions to pay for contraception. And the whole issue is, in our Constitution, the first right we are given is the right to religious freedom. Whether or not a religious institution should be able to, or should be forced to pay for something that they don't believe in. And so the issue is not about the right to contraception. The issue is not about women's health rights. It's about who pays for it. Whether you pay for it individually with your health insurance company, or whether or not you're forcing other people to, using taxpayer money or through the Affordable Care Act.
And on many occasions, the president of Planned Parenthood has come out and said that they can deal without the federal funding. It's only 3% of their budget. They can function very well. He's not saying that let's end Planned Parenthood, period, end of story, and burn the buildings down. Let's end their funding, and Planned Parenthood can run however they want, and let the states decide if they want to continue to fund Planned Parenthood.
Okay, so first of all, there's this thing called the Hyde Amendment, which says that no federal funding can actually be used to directly fund abortions. So with that out of the way, the president's stance on Planned Parenthood is that he's supporting an institution that not only has family planning and contraception, and yes, does provide only 3% of their budget to abortions, but also focuses on things beyond that. They're focusing on medical issues. Birth control is prescribed for 56% of the population for medical reasons. And in addition to that, Planned Parenthood also provides cancer screenings, pap smears that are discounted. And so the president, by protecting Planned Parenthood, is protecting the health and safety of women. But my
I would like to go back to the issue of the Affordable Care Act and the so-called religious violation of, or the violation of religious liberties. In the late 80s, the early 90s, there's a Supreme Court decision called Employment Division of Oregon v. Smith, where Antonin Scalia wrote that no organization, no person will be exempt from a generally applied law because of their own religious exemptions, or because of their own religious objections. This is Antonin Scalia, Catholic.
As we saw with Justice Roberts, sometimes generally good judges make really bad decisions. All right, going back to your assertion that the Hyde Amendment prevents federal funding from going to abortion, the issue here is fungibility. This money is all really going into one big account. By the federal government paying for some of Planned Parenthood's activities, they're freeing up the other funds to be used for abortions. These people are the largest abortion providers in the U.S., over 1.3 million abortions a year, and it's utterly disgusting that you want to force us to pay for that.
So again, as I said in my last little spiel, Planned Parenthood, 3% of their budget goes to abortion. So taking away all that funding just if you're anti-abortion, that's obviously going to be harming women. But also, the president is also a pro-choice president. He believes that women should be able to make their own decisions about their own bodies, whether it be rape, incest, or for other reasons. So that's the position that we support because we believe that women are smart enough to make their own decisions about their body, not the state.
I'll give you 15 seconds and we'll give them 15.
I'd just like to point out the president's not only pro-choice on abortion before birth, but also after as well, as his vote in the Illinois Senate is evidence of.
He was the only, as Newt Gingrich pointed out, he was the only state senator that came out and supported infanticide as a state senator. And as far as 3% goes, in fiscal year 2011, Planned Parenthood had approximately 365,000 abortions. That's almost 1,000 a day. At what number do we actually look at what is a genocide and what's not?
That was about 30 seconds, so we'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay, so again, we support a pro-choice candidate. We support women being able to make their own decisions, and we understand that there are going to be people who have religious objections to this or moral objections to this, but we support the candidate who is allowing women to make that choice for themselves, and we support the organization that is allowing women to make that choice, but is also helping improve women's health care and family planning services for the nation.
All right, moving on to the next topic. You guys switched the topic to that. Affirmative action was once again argued before the Supreme Court. Affirmative action has been instituted in this country for over 30 years. What is your party's view, or Mitt Romney's, or is it the Democrats? What is President Obama's view on the issue of affirmative action, and what kind of Supreme Court justice would he appoint if granted the opportunity in the second term?
I believe, I'm honestly not sure about the president's opinion with affirmative action. I'm going to assume that he does support it. I think it's really important, though, that yes, this issue has come before the Supreme Court. Regarding the issue of affirmative action, back in the early 2000s, the Supreme Court case had another decision. It was called Grutter v. Bollinger. It was over University of Michigan. And the justices decided, partially because of the amicus briefs that they received from corporations, from the military in particular, amicus briefs being front of the courts, they're just briefs that help decide the issue, said that essentially if you overturn affirmative action, that you will be limiting our supply of diversity within not only the schools but also within employment. And that's very important. That's something that should probably be maintained. In her majority opinion for the court, Sandra Day O'Connor, who was nominated by Ronald Reagan, said that the need for affirmative action, while this is not a fixed amount, would end in about 25 years, would end in almost a whole generation. So I think what the standard that they applied then should be applicable and should remain applicable to present day.
Just to go back to Myra, you say what type of Supreme Court justice President Obama should nominate for affirmative action. And I think just that in basic of, well, if President Obama would nominate a Supreme Court justice, I would think someone who would actually hold the issue true and understand what will it actually affect when you have the ratio of when does it come in for, say, the ability for one to move up in a workplace. Thank you.
1 minute, guys.
In regards to affirmative action, we don't like the idea of putting into law this notion that minorities can't perform at the same level and so need special treatment. This just goes against our beliefs that all people should be treated equally under the law. In regards to what sorts of justices Governor Romney would nominate, I think more justices in the constructionist, thoughtful mold set by Presidents Reagan, Bush Sr., and Bush. So justices along the lines of Kennedy, Roberts, Alito, Scalia, and Thomas, definitely Thomas.
And that, in fact, and I'm sure the Democrats would like to hear this, is that every justice that has actually ruled Proposition 8 unconstitutional or has came out in favor of marijuana legalization has actually been appointed by a Republican president under Reagan or Bush Sr.
Regarding
30 seconds.
Supreme Court justices, along the lines of name some justices, Kennedy, who's actually frequently regarded to as the moderate or the flip vote, Antonin Scalia, who, yes, is a constructivist or originalist or textualist, however you want to read into it, really doesn't believe that there is an actual right to privacy in the Constitution. This was a man who, a few months ago, made an incredibly odd comment about sodomy, and who wrote in, it was a case called Bowers v. Hardwick. I just want to bring this up. Essentially said that you don't have the right, that these laws are valid, that these laws can infringe on your right to have relations within your own bedroom.
We're going to stop it there. That was about 43 seconds. So.
I just wanted to comment. I'm a little surprised you would take offense, or not like Scalia, considering you cited him like 2 questions ago.
Okay, let's just leave that there. You still have time if you'd like to. You still have time if you'd like to make another comment. We can move this. All right. Moving on to the issue of energy, something that's come up a lot in the recent weeks. This comes from one of our audience members. Nuclear power is easiest
programs that do not create jobs and that do not stimulate our economy. And so I think with an all-above energy program, which you can find on mittromney.com, you can find that the all-above plan not only reduces our energy costs, but it creates jobs and stimulates our economy.
Just to start off, President Obama supports nuclear power. The reason why it hasn't gone into effect is more of a question of the free market rather than the president's policy. For one, I think the real reason is natural gas is cheaper, cleaner, and it's domestic. And for one, domestic energy in the United States is up. In fact, almost doubled. And we will also lay our reliance on foreign oil is actually for once below 50%, as it was going about almost 60% in 1996. So I would say the president's energy policy is working. Now,
Michael?
Regarding failure rates and DOE department loans, oddly enough, the failure rates of loans within the energy department regarding green energy to businesses who are starting green energy businesses is at 8%, which is the same rate of businesses that failed when Mitt Romney was at Bain Capital, disemboweling companies and ruining people's lives.
We'll give you 30 seconds.
Well, he said the president's energy policy is working. Well, the price of gas has doubled since he's took office. If that's a sign that it's working, I really hope it doesn't really take off working. That's really bad. And he mentioned that oil and gas production's doubled. Well, that's happened on private lands, which is fine, except the federal government has also cut the number of leases in half for public lands. And we could get much more production if we would open up those lands to exploration.
We're going to have to end it there. Did you guys want to take 30?
You can go to political fact and check for the facts in the president's policy, that it's in fact up, and regardless of anything, I like to say, Mitt Romney's plan. If he can say he can lower gas prices, I would like to see him walk on water next for his next magical trick. Thank you.
All right, this is going to be the last question before we go into closing statements. If you want to take the time after this question, at the very beginning.
It's 10 seconds. All right. The price is going to come down as the supply increases. Supply and demand, Econ 103.
This one is going back to one of the major issues of this election cycle, and that's jobs and the economy. And a lot has been talked about jobs being outsourced overseas. Both candidates have said that the other one has done this and that. So how does your candidate plan on bringing more jobs from abroad back to the United States? And is it, I believe is it you guys this time? Yeah, it's the College Republicans.
Well, part of how we're going to do that is bring down our corporate tax rate. Right now it's at 35%. That's the highest in the industrialized world. Canada's 15%. So, if you're a business in Europe looking to relocate to North America, look at the two countries side by side. Canada obviously wins. How we're going to bring that tax rate down is we're going to close deductions and loopholes so that it's deficit neutral, but that it's simpler, flatter, fairer. And that will also have the effect of bringing in the money that our corporations have stashed away off overseas, because just our tax climate is so bad, they keep them in foreign accounts. We're going to bring over $1 trillion home to America that way to invest in new businesses and new infrastructure.
Stop a minute if you'd like it. Good. Okay. Going over to you guys.
Regarding corporate tax rates, obviously, yes, corporations do frequently complain about how high the rates are, yet most big corporations are actually receive large subsidies from the government, including big oil. So, we essentially pay them, I think it's about $4 billion every year in subsidies. And then they're going to complain about tax rates when they're receiving money from the government.
And to expand a little bit on President Obama's plan to bring jobs back to the United States, again, making the necessary investments to spur innovation, to spur development in this country, that's going to bring jobs back to this country. What the president's focus on is making sure that, yes, we're cutting the debt, but we're also investing in our education system and in our technology and development programs so that, as he said in the State of the Union, that we're winning the future, that we're bringing jobs back.
30 seconds.
On the point of corporations not really paying that much in tax, that's true. GE, whose CEO is the head of President Obama's Job Council, pays nothing in taxes. This is what political connections get you with this administration. Also, you mentioned the break for oil companies. It's actually about $2.8 billion, not $4 billion, and it's an accounting treatment that's been in place over 100 years. We're open to getting rid of that $2 billion transfer to oil, but if we can also get rid of the $98 billion transfer to green energy.
I really think it's ridiculous that you would imply that the president is handing out really low tax rates to big corporate people because they're on some board or something. These are tax rates that have been established by Congress. That's factually inaccurate.
Congress sets the rates, but the Treasury Department collects them and deals with them. And also, as another point in this president's cronyism, the guy who was the head of Solyndra is one of the biggest fundraisers for your guy.
10 seconds.
I really don't have anything to say.
That does it for the questions. So based off the coin flip, we're going to move into our closing statements. The George Mason University Democrats.
So again, we want to thank everyone who helped put on this debate. We had a lot of fun, I think, and I hope that the College Republicans had fun. And all of you should vote on Tuesday if you are eligible, if you are registered. Again, we promote the President's Agenda, Senator Kaine and Representative Connolly, because we want the country to move forward, and that's not just rhetoric. And I hope that what we've talked about today shows that it's not about hope and change. It's not just about the word forward. It's about real policy that promotes reducing the debt, but also making investments in our future. It is important to reduce the debt, but we can't just stop spending on domestic programs, because that's not going to help us be innovative. It's not going to help us grow. So we hope that you'll vote for a ticket that promotes equality, that does promote financial responsibility. And we know that there have been mistakes, there have been things in the administration that have not been perfect, but we are confident that the next 4 years we'll start to see change in addition to the change that we've seen in the past 4 years. So follow us at GMU Dems.
Again, I'd just like to thank George Mason Student Government, Mason Votes, Alpha Phi Alpha for putting this event together. I know a lot of work has gone into this event. And I think most importantly, I'd like to thank the Democrats for participating as a counterweight to this. I think when we move forward, we need to look at which direction do we want our country to go into. We have a man who had no record to run on 4 years ago, and now that he has a record, he can't run on it. When it's energy, he did not do an all-of-the-above approach. The investments he made were utter failures. Education, he has not given the money to the classrooms to help the children. This money went to the teachers' unions. From Benghazi, we had the president go on in front of the United Nations and on 6 different occasions falsely lie to the world and say that it was because of a YouTube video. With Fast and Furious, we have a president who thinks that American citizens shouldn't have fully automatic weapons, but gave them to Mexican drug cartels. This is not just an economic issue anymore. This is an issue of life and death. And I think that this Tuesday, I really do hope that you take the opportunity and go to the polls and vote. Go to his website, mittromney.com, look at his issues, look at what he stands for, and make an informed decision.
4 days from now, November 6th, we'll decide the course of the next 4 years in this country. And I know it's easy to be pessimistic with things like they are right now. But with Mitt Romney, we have someone who truly believes in America and has a big agenda to go with our big dreams. Really, it all comes down to leadership, and that's what he provides.
All right, and with that, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank the college Democrats, or the George Mason University Democrats, sorry, and the George Mason University College Republicans. If you can join me in giving them a round of applause.